So I'm going to dive into a few things that you can add to your 808s to make them just stand out, just to make them sound like when you're sending them out to people and they listen to them, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's different. I have added another LED to the sound panels, so they're both lit up now. It looks pretty cool. Makes a big, I don't know why, it just looks so cool. Like, LED strips are amazing. I'm also thinking about working on a loop kit. There's like tons of beats that I start, I like make a really nice melody for them, and then I either forget that I've made it and just make something else like later on in the day, or I'll not upload the beat or something like that. So yeah, I'm gonna put it all into a loop pack and add like a load more as well. I'm thinking of like 50 to 100 loops, just so you've got like a huge bank of sounds to go to in case you're stuck for inspiration. What else? Podcast should be up this weekend. For those of you that don't know, I did a podcast with Prod by Ocean, and that should be up this weekend, hopefully, if all goes well. So that's going to be really good. There's some good gems in there as well. Always have to drop some gems. I think that's it. I'm just going to cook up some loops today, and of course, we're dropping some gems. Obviously, you've seen by the title of this video. We're going to be diving into ways that you can grab people's attention with the 808, because there's lots of different things that you can do with the 808. You know, some people just throw the sample in, and that's normally good enough if the sound's like super good. But if you want to just make some tweaks and make those 808s more unique, then there's a few things that you can do to get like an even harder 808. So yeah, I'm going to dive into a few different ways that you can go about just bringing those 808s out and making them really hit hard. So yeah, let's get this going. Completely messed that up at the end, but I like to kind of like scroll and just move these keys like manually, because sometimes it offsets it, just by a fraction, so it just sounds a bit more human. And just playing it on the keys as well, like look at all these velocities, it's all like random. So I feel like that's a more natural way to randomize the keys. Alright, let's put this into a loop. So what you're gonna do, like if you have a loop that you're happy with, like if you're just making loops, and then there's like a little downsampling trick. A lot of you probably already know this, but open it in Edison, and then you're just gonna downsample it here. You right click on this sample rate, and then just knock it down like 10k before, after. Sounds pretty cool. That's pretty sick. I like that. I'm gonna save that actually and make a beat out of it in a sec. I'm gonna go D sharp minor. Dope. Time for some more gems. So I'm gonna dive into a few things that you can add to your 808s to make them just stand out, just to make them sound like when you're sending them out to people and they listen to them, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, that's different. So let's dive in. I've got this beat that I made this morning. Alright, so there is the beat. Now I'm going to start off with a few things that you may already know, but I'm going to cover them really quick just in case somebody who's watching this hasn't seen them. So the first thing you can do with your 808 is shorten it. Now with this beat I used the Spinz 808. I kind of just went with this one for the tutorial because it's a well-known 808 and it's a really good 808 to effect. So the first thing you can do to your 808s to make them more unique is shorten it. Open it up in here, open this box, so you just want to double click on the channel. And then you want to play with this knob right here. This is called the out knob. So you'll notice when I drag it up, it kind of shortens it right there. It kind of tightens it up. So this is what the original sounds like. Still sounds okay, but if you shorten it, and I just prefer them shortened, but this is what it sounds like when you've shortened it. Cool. So if you're working with like a faster beat, or you just want a beat where the 808's not taking up too much space, then that's a really good way to do that. Now, another thing that you can do with your 808s is to pre-clip it. I call it pre-clipping because this kind of takes place whilst you're making the beat. So in the same window that we were in before, you're going to come to the pre-computed effects and you're going to drag the boost knob up. Okay, so if you take a look at the waveform, we're actually clipping the sound right there. It's going above 0 dB. And that's what you want. It's not a case of, you know, you're going to destroy the sound. A tiny bit of clipping is actually a good thing in some cases. This is before with no boost. Okay, and this is with some boost. And again, just do a little bit of boost. You don't want to do too much. About that much. Okay, before, after. Just really makes it like, it just really makes it thump. Also, now let's get on to more of the technical stuff where we can, you know, make them sound super unique. So one of my secrets, and a lot of you may think initially that this is the stupidest thing to do ever because it's the bass, but I'm going to add some stereo width to it. Now, hold on. There's a few things we need to do before that, because as we know, if you spread the low end out in the mix, it's just going to sound horrible and muddy, because this is just going to add that fullness and that thickness to the 808 that you don't always get with some samples. So all you're going to do is make sure that you have got your 808 in the mixer, like so. Then we're going to route this 808 through another track before it goes to the master, okay? So it's going to go from the 808, run through another track, and then it's going to also run to the master. What we're going to do is hover over the 808, right click on an empty mixer track, so this one right here for example, and click route to this track. Don't click route to this track only, just click route to this track. So when you hover over the 808 now, you should have a green string going to this track and then also one going to the master, okay? Now what we want to do is solo just the track that we're going to add the stereo width to, just so we can hear what we're doing, right? So all you need to do is make sure that your 808 is highlighted, the original track, and then come to the master channel and just decrease the volume so that we can't hear the original 808. We're just hearing the effects running through it, okay, on this track right here. You can rename it if you want to, just put like 808 stereo width or something. 808 stereo. What we're going to do is come to the effects and add an EQ first. So we just want to cut out the low end, and then we're going to just broaden out the top end and add a few effects if we want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and add the Q3. It can be any EQ that you want. I just like this EQ. So I'm just going to add a high pass right there and just play the beat until I've cut out like basically all the low end. So play it. Okay, that's fine. Next thing I'm going to do is come back to the mixer and add, and this is optional, but I add a fruity chorus. So if you hear before, add the chorus. It's really like spaced that out a bit. I'll turn it up. Put headphones on if you can't hear this. So this is before, after. It's really coming out wide there, nice and wide. And what you also can do is come to this knob right here and drag it all the way to the left or some way to the left so you're separating the 808 even more. Okay, that sounds dope. Once you've done that, all we've got to do then is just blend our spaced out 808 with the original so that it's not like overpowering it or it's not too loud in the mix. And that's all you have to do, okay? So let's go back to the original 808 right here. Reset the volume that run into the master. Play the beat. Okay, I actually quite like it full. So this is without the stereo width. This is after. Maybe turn it down a little bit actually. Right there. So that is like one of the key things that I do. Basically duplicating it through another mixer channel, cutting out all the low end and bringing out the top end. That's not going to affect the mix. In fact, it's just going to fill it out even more. So that is a huge gem in terms of getting the 808s to sound like super full and like a lot different to, you know, what the majority of people are doing. So that is another way you can make your 808 sound more unique. Another way you can make your 808 sound more unique is to add compression. Not a whole lot of compression, just a little bit of compression. And just a little side tip, all of the things that I'm explaining in this video, if you sort of mix and match all of these little tricks, then you can get your 808 sounding super unique. So we're going to come to the 808. I'm just going to use a fruity limiter, come to the compression tab, and then we're just going to drag the ratio up to between 2.5 to 3.5, okay? I'm going to go with like 2.9, let's go with that. And then leave all of these settings, okay? If you're using the fruity limiter, leave all these settings because it already is set to quite a soft compression. If you're not using the limiter, then you just want to play with the release and have the sustain slightly up as well. Then all you're going to do after that is play the beat and then bring the threshold down so that you're adding just a tiny, tiny bit of compression. Okay, that's all you need really, like just a tiny, tiny bit. If you just slam the 808s completely, it's just going to squash the whole thing and then you're going to lose that punchy dynamic hit that you get from it. So Leave it like that and you should be good to go. Another way to make your 808 sound more unique and make them stand out is to EQ them. There's certain frequencies, especially with the Spinz 808, that really bring it out. And to be fair, with most 808s, you can use these frequencies because certain frequency bands complement certain sounds. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to mute this limiter and I'm going to add EQ. So the ranges that you want to work with is around the 100 Hertz mark. That's normally a good place to boost. And then around the top end, you want to be around 3000, okay, 3000 Hertz. So just play around with it though, like you have to do this by ear. Those are the two ranges to keep in mind when you're EQing the 808, especially if you're boosting when you're EQing the 808. So I'm going to play the beat and I'm just going to mess around 100 Hertz and see what it sounds like. That's good. Around 3000. Okay, that sounds good. So it doesn't make a huge difference, but when the whole beat's playing and you've got the 808 in context with the melody and the drums, it just allows it to cut through it and really punch in the mix. Now, another way to enhance your 808s, and this is probably the last one actually, is to saturate it. I add a saturation plugin called the Aphex Vintage Aural Exciter. It's by Waves. It's like $30. I think it's not expensive. And it just adds some top end to it. So if you've got an 808 where you want a bit of crunch and you want a bit of like sort of like crispy high end, I highly recommend using this Aphex Vintage Exciter. It's insane. So come and open it up. And you're going to come to the PA default right here. Drag the mix down to 0, and then you're just slowly going to bring it up until you can hear a bit of top end to the 808. There. Okay, that's good. Again, you don't want to go like crazy over the top of this. You just want to add enough so that it's, you know, adding a little bit of extra frequencies in the top end, okay? So they are my gems, my 808 gems. So all of those things I do, depending on the beat I'm making, I will normally go to the majority of those little strategies right there. The main one being that one in the middle where you add that stereo width. But I just want to emphasize that all of these things will make your beat sound better if you have leveled properly, okay? So make sure that your leveling is on point. And then when you add some of these strategies, then honestly, it takes your 808s to another level. It just makes them sound so much more full. Yeah, hope that was helpful. If it was helpful, you know what to do. Subscribe, and yeah, goodbye. Hello. I forgot to cut it on camera, so I shall pretend now. Yes. Big bang. I've just realised that, you know, I know I do like quite a lot of videos and I try to upload quite a lot of videos, but in comparison to the other internet producers, you know, people like Ocean, people like Kyle Beats, like I don't have really any producer content. I just realised that I have like 2 drum kits. I have the Hero drum kit, the Artemis drum kit. I have the Uncharted kit as well, but that's a little bit old. Like 1 loop kit. So I'm gonna make a goal for the end of the year. So like New Year's Eve, I'm gonna work on a ton of new producer content because I feel like my beats now are at a decent point where the mixes are sounding good, the melodies are sounding good. So I feel like I can put some good stuff together that I'll be, you know, happy to put out, and it's gonna be like decent value to you guys. So get away from my sandwich. So I'm gonna go for a loop kit, a 1-shot kit, a drum kit, and a MIDI kit, I think, all before Christmas. So four brand new unique kits that you guys can just dive into. And yeah, I just feel like it's a good time now to start putting out stuff because I'm like really happy with the sound of my beats. So I feel like it's a good time to do it now.